G'day everyone, Dikko here with another kick-ass walkthrough. This is part 10 of a multi-part series that covers character rigging. And in this video, it's all about shape keys, morph targets or blend shapes, whatever you want to call it. But basically, we're going to work through building out our expressions for the face that they can be rigged up in the next video. So I'm hoping to wrap this series up in about two more videos to go before we wrap it up. So we're gonna have 11 and 12. 11 will be all about rigging up the face with the shape keys that we create, and 12 will be finalizing the rig and doing some basic weight painting and transferring those weights to all the other parts of the body. So yeah, in the previous video we got the jaw up and running like this. As you can see, I've added a few controls and I'll go through that in this video on how I did that. We've got the open and close action going on there with the face. So we're ready to start to add more expression to this character through the use of shape keys. And what are shape keys? So shape keys are basically targeted morphs of the original base mesh to allow you to get crazy expressions, fun expressions like, you know, blinks. We can raise the brows. You can lower the brows if you want to. Do all kinds of stuff like that. You know, smiles, sneers, you name it. So that's the plan for today. We're going to get through that today. So let's jump right into it and yeah, have fun. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that now. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to make a shape wherever. I'm going to make it based on my selection here, up here, and I'm just going to make it a basic, let's just turn on shape keys as well. I'm going to make a basic shape for the head and then a basic shape for the jaw. All right, cool. So for the head, I could use a shape that I already have, but I want to make a new one. Make a circle. I'm going to scale that down a little bit in edit mode. And I always like to make sure that I know like there's a primary axis of some sort. So I like to put a little line in between. So between the front and the back vert in the center line, I like to fill it in with a simple edge. Something like that, so I can get a decent understanding of which way the primary axis is in the head. For the jaw, I'm going to do something a little bit different. So let's make another shape. Again, I'm going to make just a simple circle. Go into edit mode, scale that down again. But this time I'm going to squish it down a little bit, like so. And I might grab this area here, soft select, and I'm going to sort of make a little bit of a curved sort of selection. All right, something like that. Bring those up. So I want to make something that kind of wraps around the shape of the jaw. Makes it a little easier to select. All right, the next thing we need to do is basically just get these controls up and running on these shapes, up and running on these bones. So just like we've done in the past, I'm going to grab the bone, going to choose the custom object, and you can see here that the orientation isn't the right way, but that is fine. We can also turn off scale to bone length. Just turn that off for now. And in the edit mode of that original control, we can just rotate that down and then just choosing the right orientation, just get that lined up to where we need it to be in edit mode of the custom shape, not the bone itself. All right, cool. Apparently this is going to change in the future. It'll be a lot easier to do this, but for now we're going to go with the old school method. And now we can see here that we can at least select that shape and move the control at the moment. All right, same thing with the jaw. Let's grab the jaw. Let's then go to the custom object, select that object. And again, we have to do the same thing. I'm going to turn off scale to bone length because why not? And just bring that down in edit mode, rotate that like so. And I think just down the y-axis we have this going on. So now we have a nice, easily selectable jaw control. Now, the cool thing about custom shapes, at least in Blender, is that you can always go in and edit it to add extra lines or whatever, so it makes it easier to select things. So there we go. Up and running, great. Now, let's go to our deform bones now, and again, we need to assign this bone to copy transforms. And assign this one to copy transforms. There we go. So now this control will control the head. This one will control the jaw. All right, cool, perfect. The only problem is I've accidentally put the I've put the custom property onto the well, what is the mechanic thing. So what we can do, we can always go in and make a new custom property on this bone. All right, we've already got it here, which is great because we duplicated it. And copy this data set here. So I'm going to copy this data path. Go to the shape key that we have Ragnar's face on. So where's the shape key? Not shape key. The open close bone. So in pose mode, we have those custom bones, remember, that determine the opening and closing. So wherever they may be. So under my constraints, you can see here we have the copy rotation. We just have to change the driver on that. So let's just go to our drivers. Go to our little driver here, and we're just going to change the path from one bone to the other bone, basically. So same thing with this bone here. Change this one. There we go. And now this one will control that driver. And we can delete this custom property on the original bone and get rid of that so we don't get confused. Let's just get rid of that. And we're golden. Great. All right, cool. So now that we got the at least the controllers out the way for the head, let's go ahead and move onto the shape keys. So I'm gonna do just a couple of shape keys. I'm not gonna do the whole rig because that will take ages. It can take hours if you really want to be picky about it. It's always good to have some sort of reference for shape keys, like phenomes, which is like the mouth shapes you make when you do speech. How the face deforms when you do frowns and happy and sad and all that sort of stuff. So it's always good to have that kind of reference around. But let's start off with some very basic things like blinks. Let's do a happy, do a sad, and we'll go on from there. All right, cool. So what we need to do is enable shape keys, and then we can start to work out what to do with them. All right, so I'm going to isolate selection just the head in the viewport because I don't want to have any other distractions. And we're going to start off with the most basic things. So stuff like blinks. Let's get that up and running. And I'm going to show you a few tricks on how to like halve your time when it comes to doing left and right blinks. Because sometimes you want to have them as one, other times you might want to have them as separate. But I'm going to start with just doing it as one. So I'm going to go to shape keys, add a shape key, and you'll see here that the basis is basically the neutral mesh without any deformation or anything. So you always want to make sure the basis is that. Don't ever edit on the basis. You want to make sure that you do not edit on the basis or delete it by accident. Because if you delete it, then a shape key becomes the default mesh and then you just fucked up your mesh. Lovely. All right. So I'm going to push the add icon once more, and you'll see here's our first key. We're going to rename that as blink for now, and I'm going to turn the value up to 1, and I'm going to turn on editability over here. So shape key, edit mode, turn that on, and this is the part where you just start to edit the mesh. So once you have this guy selected, this blink, we can go into edit mode and start to edit the blink. There's one thing I want to do, and I do want to bring back the eyeballs. So let's have a look. Where are my eyes? If I don't have eyes, I'll just make a new sphere and then I'll put them back. So let's have a look. Eyes, there we are. Cool. Because I don't want to accidentally overlap the eyelids inside the eye. So select those guys, select the head, and then isolate selection. All right, cool. So for the blink, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to basically edit this shape so that the eye is closed. And this is where soft select really comes in handy. And you can have mirror editing turned on. If your mesh edit is mirrored, then this is easy. If it's not a mirrored mesh, then you'll have to do it individually. But let's just get the shapes up and running. The other way would be to literally select the loops like so. Now you've got like sort of a neutral, almost like a blink. We can always then scale down the blink like so. Getting something like that. And then it's just about cleaning up what we've got. So we can actually start to clean up the distribution of those verts. Now there's all kinds of different ways you can determine the right way the blink will look. It's really up to you what your character looks like, how it behaves, how you want the style to be. There's no fast and set rule when it comes to this sort of stuff. It's really down to what you want to do visually and creatively. All right, so there's our little blink. Now, if we turn that up and on, we have a bit of a blink going on. You can see it's affecting both. All right, cool. Let's do some emotions. So I'm going to do a frown for the head. So you want to do like a forehead frown. So when I say eye frown or forehead frown, frown, forehead. All right, we can do another one. So we're going to bring that value up to 1 again on the frown forehead. And when you're doing blend shapes, by the way, make sure you finalize your mesh, because otherwise you're going to run into all kinds of issues with if you have to remirror the mesh, it won't work, that sort of stuff. So make sure you finalize your rig at this point. All right, cool. So let's grab the forehead. Start to work out what we want to do with the frown. So we can start to push in those features. Depends on how realistic you want this thing to be. You can also push in some of the inner parts of the head. You can even start to rotate it if you want to. It really depends on how realistic you want this to be. And how extreme you want it to be as well. So you can always turn it off and on to see how it's behaving. And you can see here, this is why we did all that work in the past on like edge flow. So you can start to see why the edge flow is so important once you start to animate parts of the face like this. All right, let's do another one. Let's do this. I don't know. Let's go with. I wouldn't call it happy, but it's definitely furrow. I don't know, furrow. Let's just go with furrow. You can call this brow as well if you wanted to, but like basically I want the eyebrows to come up. All right. It's almost like it's basically just sad. I don't think Ragnar would ever have a really sooky, sad face, but you know, you never know. You never know. He could be a sensitive Ragnar. So again, it really depends on how cartoony you want this to be, how you want to like stretch out those details, that sort of stuff. And again, if you want to try and practice this, a good way to practice this is just by using a mirror. Just have a mirror next to you and just try and, you know, play with the shapes. Why is it going down to 0? Oh shit, okay, 0.1. 0. Wrong one. There we go. So you see, we're trying to play with that sort of stuff. There we go. All right, let's do another one. Raised eyebrows. All right, so in this case, just simple little raising of the loop. And you want to make sure you don't affect the eyes itself. So sometimes you might have to go in and do it a little bit more manually. And this is the part that makes Blender so good, is that you can just jump straight into sculpt mode and then start to sculpt out some features as well. So I'm going to turn off the face sets, turn off the masks, and just use my brush to smooth that out. Sometimes if you overdo it, you can always bring it back with a bit of inflate or draw. Let's bring back that detail. The elastic deform is really good for, you know, large chunks of soft deformation as well. Now, if you feel like you need to like go in and bring back those eyelids a little bit, you can always push it back a little bit as well. All right. Now you can make as many or as little Blender shapes as you need for your rig. It can be just 2 or 3 if you had to, but otherwise you can do whatever you like. So I got raised. Now let's do a lowered one for the eyebrows, and I'm going to keep it at that for now. And if you ever wanted to rename this stuff, don't be afraid to do so. You can always just go in and rename it if you want to as well. So in this case, I can go brow instead of forehead because that makes more sense. And there you have it. All right, so we're gonna do a lowered brow now. Not that it can get much lower anyway, but let's go ahead and do that. So it's not going to be an angry expression, it's more of a neutral lowering of the brow. making sure not to affect the eyelids too much as well. So just bringing that down. Like so. And depending on the expression of your character, it could just look like he's angry, but, you know. Starting to get a good amount of variation in there. All right, so we've got the blinks, we've got the brow, working pretty good. We've got the raised brow, and then we've got the lowering there. All right, cool. And you can keep going until your heart's content. Let's get the mouth up and running then, for now. Let's get a few expressions in there now as well. We've got smile. Mouth. Let's try and get a smile out of this. And this is where those loops really come in handy. Let's see if we can get some nice mirroring going on there as well. If it's not, it's going to be a bit trickier, but there we go. Stretch that out a little bit. Bring that back a little bit. Now, depending again on how cartoony you want this to be, it really is dependent on how you go about it. It's your creative vision. Do whatever you need to do. Now, when it comes to a smile, you also might want to affect the nose as well a little bit. And the cheeks will come up. You can even get a little bit of a squint going on into the cheek as well. So a smile actually stretches almost every part of the face. So here we go. You can see it's actually affecting a lot more than just the mouth itself. And again, you can always go in and smooth out those details. If you want to, you can increase some of the detail in certain parts, like this, you know, the widening of the cheek muscles, that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go through and do the rest of these. So I'm going to do a frown. I'm going to do some other shapes as well. And I'll come back to you and you'll see the kind of shapes that I've made for this particular rig. All right, I'll leave you to it. All right, so I've made a bunch of different shapes, starting with the blink, obviously. So we got our little blinks, we did that together, but I've also gone through and added a few more extra parts with smiles, sneers, sneer left, sneer right, pucker, ooh. All kinds of stuff. And you can go to your heart's content with this stuff. You can add all kinds of things. But there's one thing I want to show you, and that is how to mirror a shape key. So say that you have like, let's make one more shape key. Let's go, what's it called? I want to say cheek. Yeah, puff. Cheek. All right, so say you had one you have actually made a shape key that is only on one side of the face, like so. You can actually mirror this if you have a symmetrical mesh. So what you can do is, if you have a symmetrical piece like this, you can, a symmetrical mesh like this, you can go down to this little tab here and go new shape from mix. It'll actually duplicate that mix. So if I were to turn off this one and turn off this one, turn on that one, you can see that we've got the exact same shape key. But what if I want to mirror it? Well, that's pretty simple. Just go to the same tab, go to mirror shape key, and you got yourself a mirrored shape key. How cool is that? Now, the final thing I want to show you is how to actually duplicate, with a, say, a symmetrical blend shape, how to actually separate it to left and right. And you can do that with vertex groups and masking. So that's really cool stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a new vertex group and call it left shape key mask. All right. I'm going to add another one and call that right shape key mask. All right, cool. So on the left one, what we're going to do, we're going to select the entire face here and select the, in wireframe mode, all the way to the midsection. The left side of the face. We're going to assign that with 100%. I'm going to assign the other side with 0%. And then down the center line, we're going to assign the center of the face with 50% on the left side. So 50% on this side, 50% on this side. So what we should have is something like this. Let's see if we did this right. We have the left side is working pretty good. The right side, you can see the left side is nice and red, perfectly blended. We have the left side, the right side of that is got a percentage of 0%. And then we got the right side here. We need to add on this side 100% on this side of the body. So we go to the right shape key mask, vertex group. So we have something like this, left and right. So we want to use this side as a mask for the left side and this side as a mask for the right side. So, and just to make this a little bit smoother, we're going to go to weights, smooth. Just smooth that out just ever so slightly, a few times, and we'll see how this works. And smooth. All right, cool. So what we can do now is go back to our regular view here. And with this blink, you can see here that the blink is symmetrical, right? So what we can do is go to new shape from mix, push the plus icon. We're going to move that up the top here to be in line with the other one. Oops, too far. There we go, there's our blink. We're going to call this blink.r. And this one now is going to be renamed as blink.l. All right, cool. And if I turn off blink.l for now and turn on blink.r, you'll see that they are identical. But if we go down to here to vertex group, you can see here we can actually add our mask. So with the right shape key mask, we now have a duplicate, but only on the right side. So if you want to have control over the left and right blinks as individuals, you can actually do that with this. So now we have complete control over our left and right blinks. How cool is that? All right, so we can do the same thing for all of these if you wanted to. So basically, we're going to go through and duplicate anything that has a mirrored effect, like so. And we're going to effectively add the mask so we have left and right for everything. All right, let's go ahead and do that now. I'm just going to time lapse this and get through this very quickly. All right, so I spent about 10 minutes getting all that out the way. So now we have basically everything we need to rig this face. So how cool is that? Left, right. We've got a frown on the right, frown on the left. So you can combine these in different ways as well, which is really cool. This is the whole point of blend shapes, is that you can like play with, you know, raising other parts and then getting like your DreamWorks expression going on. So like, you know, you got your right hand, you got your right smile. Something like that, you know? So like, just with these basic blend shapes, even just these ones here, or shape keys, you can get some really good expressions. So that's the whole point of this. So now in the next video, we're gonna have to work through rigging these up to some controllers, because you can't just animate with these. It's just a pain in the ass. So you want to be able to play with these and rig them up with drivers to, you know, make the process much easier to animate with. So I'm gonna do it in the next video. So before then, try and get all your blend shapes up and running. Do whatever you need to do. You can even do like muscle tension and stuff like that in the arm, in the neck and stuff if you wanted to. If you were to go that far, that's completely up to you. Anyway, take it as far as you want to, as far as you need to rather. And yeah, in the next video, we'll get this thing rigged up and we'll finalize the rig. All right. Until then, catch us and have fun.